Hello, my name is Darlene Carmichael, and today I have Carmen Camelo. You are a class of 2013, correct?
Yes. Morgan Carrillo actually is
Morgan
my,
Carrillo.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry about
No,
that.
that's okay. Okay.
Today's date is April 15th, 2024. So let me start off with some questions for you, and then you can ask me anything afterward.
Yeah.
When and where were you born, and did you grow up there?
Yeah. I was born in West Palm Beach, Florida,
Okay.
in yeah, in November 1989. Um, and I grew up, West Palm is like it's in the county that I grew up in, but it's a bit of a bigger city. I grew up in Jupiter, Florida, which is like still in the same county, but just a smaller town. I guess West Palm Beach is the big city of that part of Florida.
Okay. I tried to go to
So,
Florida for my birthday. So that's why I was like,
yeah,
oh.
yeah.
Did your
Yeah.
parents or guardians work outside of the home?
They did. Both my parents, well, my dad actually worked, like his office was in our house, but yeah, both my parents worked.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you remember about the home you was raised in?
Mm. Um, I remember, do you mean like the physical space or like how like my upbringing in my house? Like,
Your upbringing.
okay, yeah. Um, I remember I'm an only child, and when I was from birth until 5, I actually had a nanny, who both my parents worked outside of like they worked. So I was in my parents had a caregiver for me, an au pair. And so I remember uh a lot of love and a lot of support, but my primary support system as a child, I guess, would be the nanny that I had until I was 5. I was quite bonded to those nannies. I had a few in those 5 years. They were au pairs, so they can only stay for 1 year at a time. So I had like quite a few different caregivers. But the ones that I had like when I was older in that period of time, I'm still actually close to now. We talk, we send letters and gifts back and forth. And
That's
um
nice. I like
yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah, yeah. While I still felt like loved and supported by my parents, I was definitely more bonded, I think, to my nanny actually until I was a little bit older. But I remember a lot of love. My parents like to host a lot of parties, and so I was always surrounded by a lot of people. Um, and I just remember like I had a kind of a different kind of upbringing than I think a lot of people do because of the nature of my dad's work, which I don't know if you'll ask me about later. But my dad is a concert or was a concert producer, and so like we had a lot of like uh interesting people coming through and a lot of like interesting things to do. So it was a bit non-traditional, I guess. But yeah.
Okay. I've been at job fairs that had like job producers, like
Yeah.
producers for different venues, not per se music, but it could be just for anything. So I know.
Yeah, yeah, it was definitely an interesting upbringing. So
Okay. What did you want to be when you grew up?
I think for a long period of time, I wanted to be like a physician. I really wanted to be a doctor, it seems. I really was interested in health and um, like how to like take care of people. I don't know if I had a memory of like what I wanted like specifically to do in medicine, but for much of like middle school and high school and even elementary school, I think I wanted to be a like a doctor. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
What brought you to Trinity? Was it your first choice?
So I was interested in I got my diploma weirdly. I was homeschooled and I got my diploma when I was 15. And I worked for my dad's concert company until I was 18 and I started college. And I wanted to initially go into the intelligence field. So I wanted to work in like national intelligence, international security. And at the time, Trinity had a intelligence community like program that allowed you to like basically intern at intelligence organizations or agencies within DC. So I did tour. Let's see. When I came to DC, I toured Trinity, Georgetown, American, like all of the schools. And Trinity ultimately like seemed like the best fit and also was the most affordable. And because I had graduated high school so early, I didn't have like scholarships or those sorts of things. So Trinity was the best fit for us, like financially, I think. Um,
Okay.
and I'm really glad I chose it.
I'm
So
happy too, so I can do this interview with you.
yeah.
So were you the first person in your family to attend college?
I was not. My mom had attended college, and my dad attended some college. I don't know. Well, he had a bachelor's degree, but my mom. So both my parents went to college. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Um, well, you answered one of the questions already. How would you describe your experience at Trinity?
I loved Trinity. I was for a little while, so it was definitely like different for me when I first moved from Florida to DC. I didn't know anybody at Trinity. Like I didn't have like friends or anyone else that I had known that had attended or so it was kind of like definitely culture shock for me and definitely very different from my hometown in Florida. I had not been around like a lot of different like people in general for me. And so it was definitely like an experience, but I'm so glad that I came. I definitely Trinity completely changed who I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. So when I came to Trinity, I really wanted to work in intelligence. I wanted to essentially like work for the CIA. That was my goal. I wanted to do international security work. And I took a women's studies class in my sophomore year. And I decided from there that I wanted to be a social worker. And I just wanted to help change people's lives and better them in the best ways that I could, and I saw myself doing that in a very different, like, way than I guess I did, um, before, but I really was kind of quiet before I came to Trinity. I didn't feel very confident in, like, my ability to speak my opinion or my mind or, um, really, like, I didn't know that anything I said was valuable, I guess. And I really learned at Trinity that like I had a voice and they kind of taught me how to use it in a way that like made a lot of sense for me. Um, when I was there, I really like I would meet a lot with the sisters who I know no longer live on campus, but when I was at Trinity, they like lived there and I used to go to meals with them. And like I became very inspired by the mission of social justice and how that worked in my life of like that's essentially why I became a social worker is just because like they inspired me so much. And so, yeah, Trinity was amazing. I became like president of the feminist like club, which still exists there, the Women's Student Action Coalition. Like I started that. And I'm proud that it still goes on. I think like last week was the clothesline project and all of those
Oh
things, which I
yeah.
did the first one. So it really like makes me so happy to see that those things that like we started are still being done and people still find them important. So yeah, I also serve on the alumni board too, and so I get to know all the things that still happen, which makes me really happy. But yeah, I'm very grateful to Trinity, and I don't think I would be who I am without it. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
How how were your race relations at Trinity when you was a student?
Race relations, like how did I like interact with like
The-
people of different, yeah. So I think I kind of mentioned this earlier, but I grew up in a small town. I was the different person because I am Latina and I grew up being like the brown person, I guess, in my school, in like my community, like my family. I had the weird last name or like the, whatever. And I was different. I grew up primarily with white upper middle class to like upper class people in my community at home. And so when I moved to Trinity, I had not really been around, really, I didn't have many Black friends. I didn't know many Black families. I didn't even know really a lot of Latino families other than my own. And so it was very different for me at first. But I felt welcomed and also like I had a space to learn. I think I did understand that I had more privilege than my peers. And so I think that that was like something that I hadn't explored or I wasn't comfortable yet talking about it, if that makes sense. Like I didn't know how to acknowledge that I was a white person and I had more privilege and kind of hear those things because I had never had to. Um, but I'm so glad I did because in my job now as a social worker, that's all I do. And I acknowledge that and talk about it all the time now. And I think if I hadn't been at Trinity, I would have never really grown to really care. I don't know how to like because I
No, I
didn't
understand what you're
yeah,
saying.
I didn't
I
have to
do.
deal with it. So I didn't understand that I was in this great position to help or to make sense of it or to ask questions. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, when I was at school, there had started to be, there was in Sanford, Florida, there was the first time I remember learning about, and it was new to me. It was not new to the world, but there was, what boy was it? But there was a boy that was killed by the stand your ground laws in Florida, something that I had always known. It was in Sanford. It was in like 2012 or 2013. I'm blanking right now, but it was a lot of the I'm so sorry, I'm forgetting his name, but it was a young man who had been shot by someone who like he thought that he was approaching him to rob him or something. But it was the first time that like that I had
You
remembered
talking
like
about Trayvon Martin?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and yeah, and thank you.
You're
Um
welcome.
but yeah, for Trayvon Martin, it was the first time that it had been drawn to my attention, like that. But I remember there was a protest on campus and I went to it and we wore our hoods and like it was just like it felt really important to engage in those conversations on campus. And I was really like proud to be part of it. But I also remember how like new it was for me and it wasn't new for anyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope I answered your questions a
You
little
did.
bit.
You answered my
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
How welcoming was Trinity to gay students when you attend?
Mm. I think pretty welcoming. I actually I'm married to a woman now, but I kind of like wasn't really like sure who I was when I was at Trinity. But it was pretty welcoming. I think especially in my group of friends and my group of like I remember knowing that faculty and staff were LGBT in some way, and I remember it being totally fine and like not really having any concerns. I know that there were some like like little things that would happen with students, like among students around maybe some like homophobia or something, but generally it felt like very inclusive when I was on campus.
Okay. Did you have a mentor or a role model at Trinity?
I did. I had a few people that I became very close with a lot of like people who influenced me. There was So Dr. Jamie Pyland was my faculty advisor for my club. And I also did independent research with her. Um, and she really taught me a lot about myself and a lot about feminism and gender studies, things that I really took with me and I still do. And I'm also like, I still stay in touch with her now. But she was very, very important for me and the way that I like started to think about myself in the world, as well as like the kind of social justice that I wanted to engage in and be part of. I also was very close with Sister Mary Ellen
Yeah,
Dow.
I've been
Oh,
to her. I've been to her
yeah.
archives. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, Sister Mary Hayes too. I love. But Sister Mary Ellen Dow, I think she passed away a few years ago, I believe.
Oh, sorry, wrong Mary then.
No, it's probably you're probably talking about the archives with Sister Mary Hayes, who
Okay.
also sharp as a nail. That one will still remember probably anything I ever did. Um, but I love her too. But Sister Mary Ellen Dow was our campus minister when I was at Trinity, probably for a few years, and she died probably like 4 years ago or something. She was no longer at Trinity, but she was very important to me. I had a lot of questions about my like faith and like how I could and my beliefs as like a feminist and also as a person like a Catholic too, because I was Catholic and I was starting to explore like sexuality and stuff, and I was like, how do I fit like in all these things, and what makes sense? And she was really wonderful, like helping me piece together like where I like what spirituality like made sense for me. And so yeah, those are two people that I really, really found like to be very formative for me, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Um, well, you answered
Oh,
another
sorry.
question I was about to ask, but that's good. That's good. What do you do after receiving your undergraduate degree from Trinity?
I took a year off. I worked in retail actually. I worked at Nordstrom for a year. And then actually I got a job right out of college for someone that Trinity introduced me to through like a partner organization that they had, and I hated it. Like I hated it. So I stayed like 3 months and then I quit, which is horrible. But it was an event planning, like meeting planning job. And I just found it like so not like I was really grateful to have like a job with benefits out of college. Like that was great, but I was miserable. And so I quit and went to go work at Nordstrom for a year. And then I applied to grad school. And I started grad school the next fall after I graduated for my master's of social work. So
Okay.
yeah.
What professional accomplishment are you most proud of?
Mm. Um, I have done I've worked in a lot of places in DC, but I specialize in perinatal homelessness. So like I work with pregnant people who are experiencing homelessness in DC. But I've primarily worked in homelessness since I graduated with my master's degree. And I think I'm most proud right now of the program that I'm currently directing. I'm a program director, but we just launched our program. So I've essentially launched it from the ground up. And it's a brand new program. It's called Honey, Housing Our Newborns, Empowering You. It's that community of hope. Um, and I'm really proud of like just starting something from the ground up and really like we're serving people in a way that hasn't been done before in DC. And we're really like serving this niche group of people that other people have not touched yet. So I think it's really exciting, and I'm really proud of the work that my team is doing.
That's awesome. Like
Thank you.
really, that's really
Yeah.
awesome. I like that.
Yeah.
What professional accomplishments are you most proud of? Wait, personal, sorry. What
Personal.
personal accomplishments are you most proud of?
Um, so I think, gosh, I have a almost 2-year-old little girl who is my whole world, and so I think like for me, that's my biggest like accomplishment. I My dad also died in 2021 at the beginning of the year,
I'm
and
sorry to hear that.
thank you. And he was like my best friend. We were really close. And this might be a depressing thing for you, so you definitely don't have to include it. But I was able to be with him for like 2 months from like when he got sick until he passed away, like in the hospital with him every day. And I took care of him and like was there. And I actually like managed to get married on like the day before he died in the hospital so he could be there. Um, and I think like those are my two biggest things, having my little girl, but also like being able to like support my dad through a really hard thing and being capable of doing it is something that I'm really proud of. Um,
Yeah. I'm sorry about that. And I'm
Thank
happy that you
you.
have brand new life too at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it kind of felt like that, like something good came out of something that was hard and like something like a really beautiful like way to honor him and, like in a nice way. So, um
What
I try to look at things positively. So I'm like, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
What kind of legacy do you hope to leave behind?
I'm sorry, it kind of broke up a little bit.
I'm sorry. What kind of legacy do you hope to leave behind?
I hope that I'm remembered for someone who saw things that didn't make sense or were unjust and tried to fix them on a very, the small scale that I touch things, but that I made a difference in some way in people's lives. That's kind of it. I hope, like in little ways, like with my friends and my family, and also bigger ways, like the program and our clients that we serve. I just hope that in some way the lives that I touch are better when I leave them than when
Okay.
yeah.
What does the world need to know about Trinity?
Mm. Um, that there's more to it than meets the eye. That the faculty have this amazing ability to really shape the students that go to Trinity, and that it's this super nurturing environment. If you know, that it is what you make it too. Like, I think for, like, the world and for students too, like, you can go every day and you can just get your classes done and do your homework and leave, or you can really, like, try and use the things that they're teaching you and try to talk to people and try to engage, and I think, like, there are a lot of opportunities when you do that. There's a lot of changes since I left. It's been over 10 years, and I think, like, it's a different school in a lot of ways, but I think, um I think there's more to Trinity than what meets the eye and what, like, our numbers show or, like, whatever. I think that they're doing a lot of really good education and a lot of really good work, and I'm always really proud to have gone to Trinity. Yeah.
Okay. What is one vital piece of advice you would give to a current or and future Trinity student?
Mhm. Um I think all like saying yes to as many opportunities as you're offered at Trinity is really important. When I was there, I tried to say yes to everything. If someone asked me to like go to something or attend something or to speak at something or to like I always tried to, and I recognize I had different opportunities because I was like a student leader on campus at times, but I think like I always tried to go to the things that were being offered to me, and I always made, like, really cool connections and stuff, so I think that that was important, like, I definitely think that's how I got my first job, like, out of Trinity was just, like, going to something that, like, President McGuire asked me to go to, and, I went, and I got a job offer, like, that was crazy. I hated it, but I got it. And, I knew that I was gonna be able to make money out like, after I graduated because I was nervous and I was scared. Um, but I think just saying yes to every opportunity, and also what I said before about, like, just making your experience, like, taking it and make it what you want it to be. Like, you could just go and go, right, and get the degree, or you can really, like, take advantage of all the opportunities and talk to your faculty and talk to staff and really try to, like, take advantage of all the history and the support that's there. Either are fine, but they're just 2 different ways of going through the degree, I guess, but, for me, that was really powerful and important.
Okay. This is my last question for you.
Okay.
What do you hope current and future Trinity students will do going forward to preserve the university's legacy?
Hmm. I just hope that people keep being great like that they are, like, they keep going to events and doing the work that they're already doing when they leave. Like, I hope when you leave, you make Trinity proud by doing everything that you do and talk positively about it, and bring what you learn to other institutions. If you go on to graduate school or you go on to another program, like, I think just I don't think students have to do anything different because they're already great and they're already like reflecting the education that Trinity gives to them and everything that they do. But I think like just continuing to bring awareness to Trinity, little Trinity over on, like people. I don't know how many people like have told me in the past, "Oh, I thought that was a high school." And it's like, "No, like this is a college with like really incredible like leaders that are coming out of it and like doing great things." And so I think just spreading awareness about Trinity and the mission of Trinity, and yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm so happy that you did this interview with me. I'm really appreciative, and I'm loving to hear like the positions that you did, and also what you're doing now with the whole pregnant women that's homeless. I think that is
Yeah,
beautiful because
thank
like
you.
it's really hard out here,
Yeah.
and I just love like the social justice that you're doing right now.
Yeah.
But I'm also grateful that you took the time to let me interview you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciated talking to you. If you have any additional questions or need anything else, let me know. I know I gave you a lot of information, but if anything comes up, feel free to reach out to me.
I will. Thank you.
Of
Thank you.
course. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's so nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too. Bye bye.
Okay. Have a great day. Bye.